Our wish is that the white man should not penetrate into the interior of our territory. They must remain here at the coast. They must give us their trust so that we shall continue to trade with our bushmen as we used to do before. We will continue to get married as before. Our customs and tradition will be respected. We will continue to rear our animals as we used to do before. We will continue to felicitate as we used to do before. And we shall continue to give credence to our gods as we used to do before. That was captioned the preliminary treaty or the King's Memorandum that was sent to the Germans prior to 12th of July 1884 during the colonial era in which the Germans were preparing to colonize Cameroon, and it was endorsed by Amy Shoes, who came in from Gabon on the 9th of July 1884 in order to prepare the way for the German annexation. The chiefs at the time had powers and had to design the King's Memorandum in which they sent to the Germans. That was just to show you how powerful the chiefs were. As the German colonized Cameroon, some chiefs were still not happy and decided to write a letter, and this time it was, "Dearest Madam, we your people want that you should come and annex us." And that was when British had changed their mind not to colonize Cameroon, and the chiefs spearheaded by King Manga William of Bibia and other chiefs within Fako decided to write to the British and telling them that it is they need that the British should come and colonize their territory. That was equally to show you how powerful the chiefs were. And with the dual mandate of British Tropical West Africa issued by Lord Lugar during the 1922 agreement that was indirect rule, it gave a position where the chiefs had the right to administer their people based on their custom, norms and tradition in order to give, while giving feedback or giving their recommendations to the European masters, that is the British. And that was why during the formation of the West Cameroon or the 1959, there was the formation of the House of Chiefs. The House of Chiefs was formed so that the chiefs can continue to administer their people as they used to do before and give it report to the administrative officials who then implement the political and geoeconomic way in which the people are supposed to be ruled. Within this perspective, we have seen how powerful the chiefs were, and the chiefs were not involved in politics. They were more involved in ensuring that the customs and traditions are respected while ruling the people based on how their forefathers had given them the authority in different perspectives. That is why today's edition we are looking at should chief involved in politics. Should our chiefs in the north, southwest, north and far north, littoral, center, south and all the other regions be involved in politics? If they involve in politics, what is the state of the custom and tradition? As the media landscape of Cameroon is creeping and crawling with lots of connotation, today's edition will seem to look at the chieftaincy and the role in politics. This is House of Commons with me, Tamai Jarvis. You're welcome back from that transition, and if you are just joining us, you're watching House of Commons with me, Tamai Jarvis. It is Sunday, and here we bring to you live our program House of Commons. The motion for today is: should chiefs be involved in politics? Should our chiefs be involved in politics? To all those of you who are watching us from the north and southwest region, home and abroad, you can participate on the program via the numbers on your screen, 676431384, by sending us either a WhatsApp text or a normal SMS. And remember, we don't take calls. To begin with the program on today, I introduce to you my guest with whom we are going to move over with the program for today. It is going to be a 1 hour 30-minute discussion, and our motion is: should chiefs be involved in politics? He is a Pan-Africanist and ensures that Africa culture and tradition must be respected. He is preparing for an upcoming conference that will bring together stakeholders, Pan-Africanists across the globe, to discuss and deliberate the way forward. He believes that cultural imperialism should be reversed, that is, the African culture should be exported to the Western world, and the Western world should acculturize with the African culture as it were before, during the period where we had the Egyptian revolution. He has been firm in promoting cultures and tradition, and he is equally a man of God and a preacher who believes in African traditional religion and vis-a-vis ensuring that the virtue and values of human beings must be respected, no matter the sex, gender, age, and no matter the culture that you come from. He is Professor Mark. Professor Akumon Mark, you're welcome and thanks for joining us. And happy Sunday.
Thank you very much, Jarvis, and good morning to your viewers and to my fellow panelists. And I want to say that Africa is our home, and we, as Africans, we need to make Africa indeed our home. Why I'm saying so is because a lot of Africans have been Europeanized, and we do not know what it means to be Africans anymore. The values that make Africans have actually disappeared because of Europeanization. I want to believe that the Europeans do not have a culture, nor do they have values. They only mimic what they copy wheresoever they enter. And as a result of that, they can be able to transform what you have into what you think you have. And at the end of the day, it becomes another thing. So if we as Africans must rise up and make Africa great again, then we must imbibe the values that make Africans Africans. It's not the skin color, but it's the value.
I am who I am because you are who you are, and we are who we are because they are who they are. Mbutu. Here in the studio we have someone who is very firm in his position and believe that his personal conviction must not overshadow the general perspective and ensure that development within the context of Cameroon must be in terms of respecting the specificity of each individual regardless of their division and region of origin. He did not believe in the aspect of regional bound, but believed that people must take their responsibility in terms of developing their respective community as powers is given to them. He is a civil society advocate and he is equally within the educational perspective. Mr. Dimo Emmanuel, thanks for joining us. A happy Sunday to you.
Welcome, Mr. Tama Jarvis, and thank you very much for renewing the confidence in me. I greet all the fellow viewers of this prestigious program all across the board, and particularly to the entire community in the whole of Douala.
Thank you very much, Bobe. Aisima. Okay, and of course here in the studio we have someone who is not is a no-nonsense person and ensure that facts are fact and truth are truth. No matter how hate you may put on him, as far as a fact, he believes that fact must speak for itself. He's been very vibrant in the political landscape of Cameroon and stemming from the university where he grew up, and he is equally a PhD student and ensuring that he passed on knowledge to people at different strata of life. He is equally a member of Movement Patriotic, that's MP, and he is here in the capacity as a political analyst and not in the capacity of his party. He is joining us here for, I don't know if it is first, second, third, the numerous time. He is Prince Kotem Emmanuel, a son of the northwest region of Cameroon, the land of the warriors. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Damai Jarvis. Good afternoon to the panelists, and good afternoon to all Cameroonians out there. A very warm afternoon to all my brothers from the northwest and the southwest, and all Cameroonians put together. I believe we sitting here today, we can contribute something in nation building and help to normalize our country and to help to see that what has been going on in our country can take a different turn. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Call him whatever name you want to call him. He believes in fairness. And here in the studio we have someone who believes in a song that stands together for what you believe, work for what must be done, and loving all each other in what you do. And he is here in the capacity as a civil society advocate. He's been here in numerous occasions to discuss on issues affecting the state. He is equally within his context or his quarter, ensuring that people understand the dynamics of politics so that they can make informed decisions, not by pressure, not by gift, not by pull factor, by what they understand as far as development is concerned. He's been through the thin and the thick of the crisis within the north and southwest region, badly affected, but stand firm in ensuring that the light of justice will definitely become the cause of a common man. He is here with us today. Some very welcome and thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much, Jarvis, for inviting me once again. Happy Feast of Christ the King to all Catholic faithful and to all believers in Christ Jesus who believe that Christ is their Savior. I think it's another moment that we share together with wonderful brain enlightened people. We pray that our contribution should be positive, and we pray that what we say should be our own way to fight for the nation building, so that this country will become the change we desire and we will be the change that we need.
It will be unwise to follow the abandoned and insecure vessels which do not give us free learning right than to follow the fruited and secure which give us free learning right at the horizon. It is with the word of late Fon Achurumi that I welcome you formally to today's discussion. As he said, French Cameroon is fire while Nigeria is water, and that was the role of chiefs as far as the reunification and independence is concerned within the former British Cameroon changed to the West Cameroon, baptized to the North and South West region, and of course here we are because of what we've witnessed within the paradigm shift from 1960 to 1930 to 1996, from 1960 to 1990, and now to 2020. I begin with you, Professor Mark Akumbong. We're looking at things this time around from a traditional perspective, and that's where you come in, chieftaincy and politics. From the cultural perspective, let's get your motion for today. Should chiefs be involved in politics?
That is a tricky question, and the reason why I say it's tricky is because the chief is a politician, because he is the head of an administration. He is administering a people, so he is already involved in politics. But the question I should rephrase should be, should chiefs be involved in party politics? Because that is where there is a problem. Party politics brings division amidst your people, and so as a chief or a fon or a king, since you are the head of the administration of your people and you involve yourself in party politics, this is what happens. You are going to surely be divisive. You will take a position that will be against a particular group of your people, and at that particular moment the same values you were supposed to actually uphold, you will not be able to do so. And so if chiefs are supposed to be involved in politics, I would say yes, they are already politicians by virtue of the fact that they are leading. From your motion, you cited the various treaties that were signed with the Germans and those that wrote to the Queen of England. If you look into the motions, you discover that they were acting in the place of leaders, politicians. Why? They want the best for their people, but not as party politics. They were not involved in any partisan politics, but they were fully politicians there, dealing with the foreigner who was coming to invade the land. And in that case, they wrote as politicians. Today, what is happening in Cameroon, where we have chiefs and funds who have gotten involved in party politics, is one of the greatest mistakes that ever happened to Cameroon landscape of chiefs and funds. That error has already created a lot of division in the various chiefdoms and fondoms, and as a result of that, the respect that used to be accorded to most of these chiefs had disappeared. And so it becomes practically humiliating for you to meet your chief. Somebody is down talking the chief, somebody, like for example, because of the situation, I remember my chief, my phone, the phone of Babangi. There is this guy whom they call him, what's that, his name is Capo, something like that, Daniel.
Capo Daniel.
He issued a statement one day saying that if that chief comes to the village, if the phone comes to the village, they should kill him. When I heard that statement, I was bitter. when I came in contact, I met when we had a debate program in one of the media houses, he was involved. I spoke bitterly to him. You don't have the right to disrespect a custodian of values of a culture. But why did he get to that? Because to them, this particular fund is involved in party politics. And he has taken sides which is contrary to their own position. And that is where we have a problem. Most of our funds and most of our chiefs, if you go to Bonduma, I don't see any respect that is accorded to my chief there. They are already involved fully in politics.
Okay.
So with this partisan position, you can't administer the people equally. You have already taken sides, and as a result of that, you are no more the custodian of the same values that these people want to uphold and respect, because you are one-sided.
Okay.
So in order for these chiefs to have that capability to rule everybody equally, they need to withdraw from party politics and take their position. Like there's one chief in this one is very a notable man. Sokoju. In Cameroon, that is the only chief that is not involved in party politics so far.
Okay.
And he's respected.
And
even when the ruling party demands him to, he rejects it, because he's leading his people. He is a chief of a people,
not of a party.
Not of a party.
Okay. I come to you in Doom before moving to Prince. We have this perspective where chiefs had the all-powerful effect. When during the 1960s, 1940s, 1930s, 1920s, the chiefs had the all-powerful effect. And before the introduction of a political system that we now have, the chiefs were the president of the individual community, though we didn't have that particular synergy where you could say that chief could be a head of chiefs. But there were that chiefdoms and fondoms that safeguard the area based on their culture and tradition. That's why a village will go and fight village B. As we keep seeing in the northwest and southwest, I will come to priest as far as that is concerned. And you will see that at this particular period, when we had the introduction of a political class or a political system, when the colonial, after the post-colonial era, we started witnessing president and the rest, the chieftaincy in north and southwest region, to be more precise, the power dwindled, where people could not point fingers at chiefs. Which was something that you could not do before. I asked you this, should chiefs now involve in party politics? We are looking at the upcoming upcoming regional elections. What impact will that have if chiefs effectively involve in party politics?
I think if we revisit our history notes, though it's been a very long while since we abandoned the UC, the history of states and kingdoms in Africa before the advent of colonization, you will discover that the chiefs, the fonds, they had powers, balanced and shared powers with their subjects. And this was due to some factors. One, the proximity of the chiefs to their subjects. Two, the absence of external influence. But when you come now to the advent of colonization, and I limit my findings to Cameroon, where some chiefs could already give out their palm of land to the white man for biscuit, for whiskey, for mirror, for eyeglasses, you now start tracing where the problem of Cameroon chiefs and fonds started in politics. But let's put that era, that epoch aside, and then deal with the present epoch. You know, in a context of Cameroon per se, you know, something has happened that our chiefs and our fonds have almost been reduced to to hungry malams, as literature told us in those days. And how did these politicians succeed to reduce them to become these hungry malams? They have their tactics. And they are reducing them so that at any time these funds and chiefs will be at their beck and cake. The beck and call. And for that reason, our chiefs have forgotten the proximity between them and their subjects. And they are closer to the politicians and the parties. They have become rather party flag bearers than palace stool sitters to wait for their subjects to come. And you discover that a lot of things have gone wrong in the land, because in those days chiefs were hardly seen, chiefs and funds were hardly seen in the public. But today, our chiefs, you see them in bars. They even make selfies with politicians to tell the politicians that, look, I am going to harvest more customers for you. And these more customers are more militants. So their militating attitudes into different political parties have landed them where they are today. And I bet to tell you that our chiefs have lost value. Most of them, should I say 80%. I still will respect and I buy the idea of Prof in total, that a chief like Chief Sokoju of the West is still one of the most highly respected chiefs in Cameroon, because in those days the fondom, the chiefdom, the palace was believed to be the most secured area. And if that was to be the case, Southern Cameroonians would not have been running across the Delta borders today, some rushing to East Cameroon or French Cameroon. They would have found favor and security in the chiefs' palaces. But how would they go there? Whereas the chiefs, some of them out of guilt and out of fear, fright, that we already sold our people to the politicians, and they are already out of their palaces. So these subjects, they will not even go there again. I won't go. But we still gave our hearts to some of these chiefs who have stood the test of time. Without any publicity, the fount of my prayer has never left the palace. He has been threatened even by the governor of the Northwest region, the fount of Com. The fount of Baknon is there.
Fount of Bafut?
Yes, fount of Bafut. These are funds that even the so-called Amber Boys have threatened them, and they have said, we were there for you people. We are there for you people. Come and kill us and bury us in our palaces. Those are people who still hold tradition right closer to their heart. But we have some of these political chiefs who had long sold their subjects to the political parties, so that all you even have some of them. The central committee party meetings, they are the chairperson. These central committee meetings takes place in their palaces, and now it gives rise to the Jew to even come and unseat a chief, tell the chief that, no, look, you did not participate in the last meeting I held, and so you have to go down. We have to post another chief. If you write to the Minister of Territorial Administration, you have the case of the former Chief Bilua Yaouli, who was unseated by the Minister of Territorial Administration because they had divergent views, and he discovered that this man did not want to buy my political agenda, and so that is where in Cameroon we find ourselves today. So we are really thinking that, be it as it is, our chiefs, you people, most of you people have lost value, but it is not yet time out for you people. You can still get back the value by coming closer to your people, because if, like Jesus Christ said, if I have 100 flock and one of them is missing, I have to go after that one, bring them home together. Okay, when you are a leader of the flock, you stay with them, you don't run away.
Okay, let me come now to you, Prince Kotem Emmanuel. You are in the lands of the warriors, the land that has been noted to be fighting intertribal wars. This is because the chiefs still have powers within the community. When we look at the context of party politics in Cameroon, specifically within the north and southwest region, should we say that the ongoing upheaval in your area could be because of party politics that the chiefs are playing, and one chief seemingly is loyal to a particular party and receives support, and the problem is not resolved or is partially resolved because of political affiliation, and one chiefdom feels because this chief is involved in this party and they have supported this chief, so we should keep the fighting. Should chiefs involved in party politics?
Thank you very much, Tamai. I want to start by his Kotem Prince with Sambit. Kotem, which means is a name from the northwest, particularly Ngokutunja and Balikumbat. So I want to start by greeting all the Balikumbat community out there, especially that in Douala. And I want to salute heavily, which my grandfather had from the Gagwain, which is a man he used to be called a lion. Today I want to salute that of Ganyanin, who is the front today, who is doing a lot to ensure that his people are under control and party politics doesn't actually affect his people, even though it's something which at within the community has chopped into the nooks and crannies of the community. But where is the problem today? It is not just actually about the funds or about the chiefs encroaching into politics, but I want to tell you this, Tamai. The funds today and the chiefs engaging themselves into politics, it is not really their will. I want to say, firstly. Secondly, I will say it is something that has been calculated. Why do I say so? Before now, I come from that community where the Chamba community where our chiefs, our funds are so respectable. There are these people that are incarnate of the tradition of the people. When you talk about Balikumba, you talk about Balinyawa, you talk about Baligashu, you talk about Kom, you talk about... So, before now, we used to understand that these are communities where when the phone talks, nobody can utter a word. But today, the phone can talk and everybody can stand up and talk. Why is it so? This is because the people, the government has, before 1977, the government had realized that the funds and the chiefs had a vital position and a vital role to play in the society, because these are the people who can easily group up their people. They can easily control the population which they have the grip in. So when you have a country such as Cameroon, wherefore you have a government that has stayed in power for close to 38 years and plus, you understand that these are conservative. These are people who want to keep power. So they will use every possible means in order to hold on to power. And this every possible means has to do with those stakeholders which are important. Not every type of person, and chiefs are these stakeholders. How did this come into play? When the government or the present government, which has been there for 38 years and plus, discovered that there is no way which they can actually persuade the people, but passing through the funds, this law of 1977 of the organizing fund, reclassification of funds and chiefs came up. Why did they decide to bring up this law? Because with this law, they brought the chief closer to the administration, the public administration, because the chiefs were the traditional administrative authorities. But now, traditional administrative authority, it doesn't really have that grip when it has to controlling the people and maintaining power. So what do? We decide to bring the chiefs closer to us so that we can actually control them. Before now, the divisional officer and the sub-divisional officer, because I want to say correct this, I want to say it is a mistake that has been made for long and it shouldn't be continued. We talk about DO and you try to direct that to a sub-divisional officer. No, a sub-divisional officer is not a DO. The DO is a divisional officer. So before now, the divisional officer could not talk to any. But today, the divisional officer, who is someone who is conservative, trying to put, doing everything possible to maintain power for the president of the republic, that person who is the head of the state,
and that particular division.
So the DO now can move up and talk. Why? Because the DO can order them that you pass here, I've seen in so many communities in the northwest, in the southwest, in the east, in the south of Cameroon. This was being nurtured and actually groomed, because we understand that these chiefs are the ones that can actually make some decisions which will be persuasive more than what the government can do. So they decide to bring them closer so that they can control them. This I want to really point out that this issue is something which must be touched and must be looked into, because there is a difference between politics and party politics. We shouldn't confuse that. Most people always make that mistake. The chiefs and the friends are politicians in the sense that what is politics? Politics is governance. Politics is making the right decision, taking control of a particular decision that will influence the life and the well-being and developmental aspects of the society and the community. So, but party politics, on the other hand, means that, as in the context of Cameroon, it means that you have to say yes even if it means no. You have to say everything you say in the name of the head of state, in the name of this to keep in power. This is what actually is destroying our traditional community, where you see now the funds they are victims. They are victims.
Please, let me ask you this. We've seen instances where funds of the Northwest region revert funds that we portrayed in front are now senators of a political party. They are not just senators, but you see them with fabric of these political parties. We've seen cases whereby even ballot boxes are carried and ferried to the palaces, and the palace guards secure the ballot box, and you get a kind of different kind of connotation that comes into play, especially the counting of vote. We've seen that. But in this context now, is it not greed from the chiefs themselves? Because we've seen chiefs like Professor Mark Akumbong said, there are chiefs who have refused outrightly, whether you reclassify or declassified them, they have refused outrightly to take part in party politics. Can we not say it's because of greed from our funds and chiefs that we are caught up with this mess? Because the state cannot force you, as far as you respect the norms and principles of one and indivisibility.
You're very much correct, Tamai. That is what I'm trying to say, and that is what I'm still saying right up to now. But we have to accept one thing. Because greed is a personal something. Greed is something which has to do with individuals, okay? But when you look at these communities where Professor Mark made allegiance to, that some of these funds have actually refused, look at what is the developmental level of that community. It's not because we are on air that I want to say something which is not correct. That division which I actually come from, the Gokutunja division, it is one of those divisions which has actually seen the real party politics. I want to say precisely Barikumbat, where I come from. Prof, you're right. I'm grandfather from Doga. I used to be one of those people spearing a lion. Okay, but what was the group? What was the grip that he has? What portrayed his rulership? Because look at Balikumba today. Balikumba has is a subdivision that other small villages like Bamukumbid, Bafanji, Bamukumbid, they come under the sphere of Balikumba. This is because Fondo, the lion, had that grip. He went to politics. But what type of politics are we talking about? He still had the control of his people. I'll bet you if Fondo did not get missing, if he was not missing, we don't say he died. We say if he was not missing today, I will tell you what you have as Ambazonians in Gokutunja today wouldn't have been the case. Because he is the man who can distinguish between politics and his tradition. This is what we are talking about. But when you come back to the ask, because politics has to do with development.
How many of these territories, how many of these chiefdoms, how many of these fondoms are actually developing roads to these villages that we are talking about, which they have been in politics since the day God called Abraham?
That is the other aspect which I'm talking about, the party politics, which is different from.
Well, we keep seeing them buying cars and keep moving around there. The people still run with poverty.
Some people used to hold, and my grandfather used to have. I think before he died, before he got missing, that he had about celebrated 3 billion francs, his money and the like. That is the other aspect which I will not want to tolerate myself. Okay, they have to make a distinction. But I will say tell you, it is like tying a bone on the neck of a dog to drag. Now the dog likes to eat bone, but when you tie it, what does it mean?
Thank you,
you have to understand. Okay,
we're coming back to you. I think let's get to the other member of the panel who is here with us, Song Veric. Song Veric, we've seen positions where chiefs and funds used to be all powerful. Now we have senators who are chiefs. We have ruling party head of committees who are chiefs. The chiefs are the ones sharing fabric of political parties. How do you then get objectivity within the fundoms and the chiefdoms when matters are brought before you that contain a member of party A against party B and you are in party A? Will it not be subjective that even if you give the right judgment, the member of party B feels you have supported your member of party A? And if you give party B the good judgment, party A will say because you are fighting with him in the party, that's why you have chosen to give the ruling to favor the other side.
Thank you very much, Jarvis. You know, by virtue of being a human, we are political humans.
Yes.
We are political by nature. And the only thing I will see is chiefs, as we knew before, were a revered set of people, and they were seen as the final arbiters. They were seen as people who pass the final judgment, and they were seen like people who have moral authority, and their rights and authority is divine. That is the African culture of who a chief is supposed to be. People who have that divine authority. The authority is automatic. And I think that we should all advocate that our chiefs should stay off partisan politics. By virtue of the fact that they are politicians, that's very okay. But being actively involved in partisan politics is what we deny. You know, chiefs can make statements. They can talk about the country politics. It's normal. They have to check about the developmental aspects. They can fight. They can do what they want to do. But when they start taking sides, like the case in this Comedy Republic of Cameroon, then it becomes a call for concern. Because when chiefs take sides into partisan politics, they have directly or indirectly been invited into the boxing and wrestling ring. And if you're in the boxing and wrestling ring, you either knock down or be knocked out. And that is why you will see any Tom, Dick, and Harry talk to our chiefs the way they like, because they have embraced partisan politics, which means that during elections, they are bound to be in the field to share bread and sardine for people to vote. They are bound to be in the field to share bag of salt for people to vote. But before now, chiefs gave orders, and those orders were respected to the latter, without having been to go down to the field to make sure. In fact, the voice of the chief was like the voice of God, because the people understood that the chief were people who listened from the God, and they spoke the mind of God. And they were people who had the interests of everyone. And that is why when the British came to Africa, they looked at the chiefs in Africa and realized they were feared, they were respected, and they decided to use the indirect rule that if we came directly and talked to these people, they will not listen. Let us use their authority. And that's why they used the chief. But unfortunately, the situation in Cameroon is a pathetic one, that during elections or during campaigns, you see your chief going down to share loins, to share bread and sardine, and beg people to vote. Because there is no need to argue that politics is a boxing ring. And in politics, insults are inevitable. You either crush someone or get crushed. And there is no permanent friend and no permanent enemy. Once you cross the carpet, you become an enemy to one camp and a friend to the other camp. But our chiefs, like the situation where we have in Cameroon, they have been bought over. And that is why they have forgone their tradition because of the little drops of water that falls from their political master. And because of that, you see, as everyone is talking about the reclassification of chiefs, some chiefs are working and trying to be classified first class, second class. That has never been the case. Whether in the past, whether you were a chief of a hamlet, a 3-house chief in a village where there are only 3 houses, your authority was supreme in those 3 houses you had. But in Cameroon, the authority of a chief now depends on the political party he supports. And that is where we are decrying that our chiefs, whom we respected so much before the coming of politics into the middle of their traditional respect, we want them to get back. When Janice, when the president of the republic visited Bamenda, he was crowned fun of funds.
And it's always a similar situation.
Yes, chief of chiefs. He was crowned fun of fun. And I was like, wow. And there were chiefs that in their villages, in their chiefdoms, in their fondoms, the law stipulate they don't greet somebody with the hand. And they greeted the head of state.
The wife of the head of state, and they bowed.
The wife of the head of state and bowed. Something against the tradition. And then you come back, you want us to respect you? No, you have sold our rights, our tradition to the public.
So that was the day that all hair got loose.
And that's why you see, and very soon, and the government came again to put chiefs under salaries. And that salary was the worst thing that ever happened to Cameroon chiefs and funds.
Is it not because no. Let me ask you this: Is it not because these communities have refused to continue to pay their levy to the chiefs as it used to do before?
No,
because there were projects prior to the introduction of a presidential system where chiefs had to collect taxes and collect these taxes, and they handle their affairs. But now they start to collect the taxes, and people don't give the chiefs the respect they deserve in terms of financing.
Sorry, I refuse to agree with you there. Cameroon is a salary country. If you want Cameroonians to follow you, place them on salary. And that is why every other country survives by private sector, but Cameroon survives by the government.
By salary sector.
Yes, it is about salaries. And that is why even when you call for a protest to Cameroonians, they will not go on street, because by the time you go on street, they look at your matricule and say, we are stopping your salary for the next month. You go back and you readjust yourself. Every country that is civilized, it is the private sector that is celebrated, but except Cameroon, where the government employs everybody.
Where I asked this, I think 2 Sundays ago. Let me ask you this again. I'm sure you were not on the panel. How do you explain a situation? We understand that before chiefs are crowned, there are traditional rituals that are performed.
Thank you.
And the powers of the gods are given to the chiefs, and each community has what we call a traditional prime minister. In the Bakundu land, we call them the Manibokas, the traditional prime minister. The traditional prime minister is a custodian of the tradition and hand power to the chiefs. And there is what we call a chief priest, who is the head of the village in terms of talking to the god, the liaison officer between the gods, the forebearers, and the traditional prime minister and the chiefs. But how do you explain a situation where a chief is kidnapped, a fawn is kidnapped, and that fawn spends days and days in the hands of his captivity, and you didn't touch the fawn? How come that a fawn is kidnapped and the gods are silent? And the gods are blind, and the traditional prime minister is helpless, and the chief priest in that community is helpless. I'm talking in allegiance to that of
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jarvis. First and foremost, like a typical Anglophone cultured raised human like myself, Song Derrick I am, that's something we condemn to the least and the last of our energy. I made a statement here, and I will use that statement to summarize what you have said. When you are a chief, your authority is divine. And when you join politics, like partisan politics, you have been invited into the boxing and wrestling ring. Either you knock down or you get knocked out.
And you can be knocked by anyone.
Yes, and you can be knocked by anyone, because in politics there is no respecter of person. because everybody strives to be at the top. It is because these chiefs have decided to sideline with a particular person that their authority has been lost. Let me get back to a simple example where the chairman of the Social Democratic Party visited Limbe and was received by a chief who, with an open heart, kindly handed him a key freely. But because the other chiefs were partisan, they sat behind the scene and wrote a communique that key should be brought back. Partisan politics came into play. But I think as a chief, when you sit in your palace, the only way you should be partisan in politics should be during the ballot box. And it should be in that room. Franchise. Yes, it should be in that room. Yes, behind that secret place where you choose the political party. But as far as you are sitting in your palace, whether it is the opponent that comes or the person you voted for, that person should be welcome. Unfortunately, with Cameroon, it is a sad story because all our chiefs and fawn have been reduced to sardine and bread eaters.
Thank you very much. I'll come to you, Professor Mark Akumbong, before moving to the other member of the panel. I think let's trash this other question brief. Professor Mark Akumbong, how do you explain the situation where Akumbong? Yeah. How do you explain a situation where the chief is coronated by the custom and tradition and given the right by his people? Then you get a divisional officer, as the case was in Boya some time ago, and telling the chiefs that if you don't go and exercise your civic responsibility, or you don't go and march, which never have we seen chiefs marching, if you don't go and march, you'll be dethroned. And how did we get to where we are today, as far as that case is concerned? And we saw how chiefs were agitating and they were quiet.
No, the chiefs were not quiet. They reacted.
They reacted late. Seemingly, it was not spontaneous. As far as that I was in the hall.
You see, this is a sad situation. From the day that the Cameroon government decided to put chiefs and funds on a pay list, that was the day that our chiefs were destroyed. The respect, that's to show you how far imperialism has encroached into Africa. That's to show you how far the European system has come to completely destroy everything that has to do with the African culture. Because most of this, the so-called ENAM that you have, that's an imperial institution, colonial institution, instituted to raise colonial masters. And that institution has been raising taskmasters instead of administrators. And that is why somebody can leave ENAM who has been appointed by the president to go sit somewhere and administer, work with those who are around there, and he comes and thinks he's a god over the people of the land. I was watching before we get to talk about situation that happened in Boya, in the south, there is this lady chief,
yes,
whom one of the GOs came and told her, I am your boss. I love her response. She told the chief categorically, you are not my boss.
You are my collaborator.
You are my collaborator. First of all, that chief does not have authority in that land beyond her.
They do.
The chief does, the GO does not have authority in that land beyond her. If she says let this GO be stoned, they will stone him there, even with the military. The military will run. Why? That goes back to tell you that before, the way we looked at our chiefs and funds as if they were divine. Why? Because when they are being enthroned, they are not just enthroned anyhow. There is something that accompanies their enthronement. There is a staff of authority that is given to them, and there is a stool of authority that is granted to them. On that stool, if they sit there, they bring judgment. And when you see somebody who has gone to Enam and has been a layman in the quarter, somebody who had never featured in a noble family, because he has gone to Enam, why shouldn't we talk of an ex-convict even? A thief who successfully left the quarters from nowhere, found himself in Enam, comes back and wants to have control over the chief. That's evil. That is to show you how this so-called imperialism has succeeded to access Africa and has completely dethroned and destroyed the values of the African people. When I heard a governor who has been sent to administer an environment, he knows very well who those chiefs are. They are custodians of the very traditions of a people, and the people honor and respect them. Then you order them to go to the streets and march on the 20th of May. Where have you ever seen chiefs marching in Cameroon? And that became something and
it was like if an ultimatum was given.
It was an ultimatum.
If they don't march, they'll be
dethroned.
And they need to have their plaque indicating their chiefdoms. That I am Moya community, I am Wapa Moya, and you have to march.
You see, it is really humiliating. It is humiliating. And that at the end of the day, you expect that the people should respect their chiefs. The people will never respect those chiefs. If that chief, any chief who obeys such a voice, has already lost authority in front of the people. But why? That is because they have entered into party politics.
Okay.
And because they got involved into party politics, they decided to sell the customs of the village and of the chiefdom and of the fondom.
Okay.
And you do not expect more. I heard a minister creating a fondom in the northwest around Gokutunja.
It's not only that, we've had that in Fako division. We have in Fako division where there's a village and they want to create a Tikotwala village.
That was the worst thing that I ever heard. In the northwest, in the first place, when it comes to a fund, you don't take anybody and make a fund. Funds come from a line of Professor
Mark,
that's the anthropological effect of some of the things we are discussing here.
Professor Mark, will be coming back to you.
Africa needs a lot of work. We need to go back to where we are coming from.
Thank you very much, Professor Mark. Dimum Emmanuel, how do you explain the situation that you get a local person in the quarter arguing with the chiefs because of ballot box and pointing fingers to the chiefs?
Of course, that boils down to what my co-panelist said a while ago, that Cameroon that has been reduced to a salary sector, and you know that salary sector economies are the economies that are the weakest in the world because the population goes after salary. That one, there's no gainsaying about it. Now, you coming back to your question, it's very common. It's very common, you know. That even, but I want us to restructure.
Before you could not even raise a finger in front of the chief, the lightning department in the village is never on strike. It strikes you immediately.
And I will shock you that in the Cameroon of today, there are DOs and SDOs that even send police to get the chiefs arrested in the public. I wouldn't disclose it, but I'm an eyewitness. It's a shocking thing. Now, I want us to share the blame of our chiefs, because our chiefs have failed, just like the state has been failing woefully. They have been failing beautifully. We all know. It's not something
I don't quantify that the state has
no. I have always said on your platform.
A state that maintain that they are there for the people, a state that provide for the people, a state that tells you that they've been struggling to maintain the state of security. I told you, and the state that Minister Paul Atangandi says it is a state of law.
Oh la la! I have told you on this same platform that I hate to talk about the general issues of Cameroon because across the board, Cameroon has the same problems. The only difference is that our problem is a problem of identity and specificities that we can bury it for now. But let's come back to the topic proper. You know, if we were to look about the problems and the gullibility of these chiefs, it's a shared responsibility. Our Anglophone elite, permit me call it like this, have contributed 90% to kill our tradition and to kill our chiefs. Just look at, we have professors, Republican professors in this country, who have sold the Anglophone, Anglo-Saxon culture. Please permit me use this word because I am I'm an extraction of the yes. Despite the fact that in other sides of the country, because across the board, east of the Mungo, tradition is not all that well balanced or respected. But we have Republican professors in this country that I happen to have been in one area called Waterfall, that I saw some of these professors stream in their cars with the police to tell the quarterheads that, look, this ballot box has to be placed here in your chief. We are talking facts here. These are celebrated facts that we can be accounted for. We have seen a situation where they say, look, I heard you refused to go and do campaign because of Anglophone crisis. Now I give you 3 hours. If you don't mobilize the boys in the quarter to go out for campaign, I will get you arrested. Take these 200,000 francs, mobilize the boys very fast. That is our country. And now, yes, and quarter 8. And now, out of fright, some of these chiefs, because for one reason or the other, have lost touch with their immediate population. Because the only people that can bring home these chiefs now is the population. And to bring home these chiefs depend on the proximity between them and the chiefs. But if they already know that, no, this man has no value to us because this man dines with the SGOs, then comes back and tells us that, look, during the day of the vote, I will place people that their eyes will be on you. If you don't vote for this very particular party, after the vote, I will sanction you people. What do you expect? So, yes. So that is why I say the shared responsibility of our Anglophone elites or Cameroonian elites have helped to kill our tradition and to kill the powers of our tradition.
I will come back to you to summarize. Maybe we'll take on this advert. When I come back from the advert, you summarize before moving to other members of the panel. We'll take on this advert, then we'll be right back.
Yes! Save your money with Orange. Buy your Orange SIM for 100 francs only and do what you like as you like. Dial #124*0# to enjoy every day for 5 days. 500-minute calls to Orange numbers, then 1000 megabyte, 100 SMS, call for 25 francs per minute to other networks. No be all that though. Save more money with Orange Money. For every Orange Money account where you create, enjoy money transfers for the rest of 2020. Just dial #150#. Also, for every Orange Money deposit of at least 1,000 francs where you do, you go get to enjoy all free bundle advantages then. Just dial #150*20#. Something past this?
Orange.
Thanks for joining us again for this continuation of the program. Before coming to you, Mr. Dimum, for a summary, let's take on some few SMSs which we have here in the studio. This one is coming from Tang Fidelis Kezer in Moliko. Say, good morning panelists, I love your program. Just by mentioning our noble chiefs in politics make me cry. If our chiefs are allowed uninfluenced by politicians to handle the affairs of their villages, then there will be absolute tranquility in the villages, because there is always a belief in our heart that chiefs are God's chosen to represent him here on earth. Once they go into politics, their respect diminishes. It's coming from Kezer Fidelis in Moliko. This other read, it says, hello House of Commons, happy Sunday to you all. All fawns and chiefs should not involve in politics. The fawn is the head of the village. He have everything. He he has the women, the money, and once again food is giving food every year. The village work in their farms. What do they lack? It's coming from Emil Eyes from Big Babanki in Mogamu. And this other one, which says, chiefs have no value. Again, it's coming from an anonymous sender. Good afternoon, Mr. Jarvis. Chiefs should not be involved in politics. They should always make sure that the flags of all political parties represented in their areas should always be seen flying in their policies. From Mr. Anthony in Nelang in Yaoundé, that all the chiefs should have the flags of the different political parties represented in the area and their policies. I'm just sure chiefs are the head of culture in their respective domain or villages. Thus, delinquency should not be taken with political affairs, because most of our chiefs in our republic in general sell their culture and conscience to these so-called politics. But I have a word to our chiefs: let them not use politics to achieve their chieftaincy. Good afternoon, is Mr. Lawson. Mr. Lawson, good afternoon to you. Please, when you are texting us, tell us where you are. This one I want to say, please be Republican in your messages. Remember that the chiefs are the custodians of our people. When we go out of the Republican values, as the Republican professor will tell us, it doesn't fit well. Happy Sunday to you, rich panel, special one to Professor Mark Jarvis. Chiefs don't have to belong in party politics. They should be fathers of all, not to take sides. It's coming from Esther from Yaoundé. Madam Esther from Yaoundé, good afternoon. Professor Mark says good afternoon to you. I'm Precious Eni from Boya. Cameroon has very poor judicial system, centralized by one individual chiefs involved since all form of administration. Therefore somehow they are involved in politics, especially since the government now uses chiefs as intermediary to get to the people. This other one reads, it says, hello, nice program, keep it up, thank you very much for your program. This other one says, good day, happy Sunday to you, Mr. Jarvis. Chiefs are the fathers of everyone in the community, so they should stay away from politics. Why? Because a father cannot take side when his two children are fighting. Good Godin Young King, writing from Bonaberry. Sorry if that name is wrongly pronounced. Remember, I'm not from your era. This one says, a judge has sentenced. Thanks very much for your message. When you're writing us, please, again, as I said, be Republican. Do you remember, Manuel, you were saying, you were talking there? Let's have a summary before moving to the other members. Just 1 minute.
I was saying that our political elites have killed our funds and our tradition. And now, there are some institutions in this country, like I earmarked here last week. We have institutions like the Parliament and the ENAM that I will always stand for the fact that they should be dissolved. If they are dissolved, we will not have this kind of interference in most because these people go to ENAM, we know how they get there. It does not mean that they're intelligent. No. So when they come back, there's a price tag for that, and because of that price tag and a lot, I think one of the lessons from ENAM that have been shown to all Cameroonians beyond every reasonable doubt is pride and the proudness. Arrogance. And because of this arrogance and intimidation,
relationship is having with the topic for today.
Yes, it has a lot. These people that are these people have successfully intimidated our chiefs to the point where they have to succumb, that they have to fall until all their legs are flying up to say, yes, every day there are these products from ENAM. The GOs, the SGOs, the colonial SGOs, they are all coming from the ENAM. So you cannot say it does not have a title. What do you mean by colonial SGOs? These are DOs representing the state of Cameroon. There are DOs that the government. They inherit. No, listen. Let me say something. They inherited what The colonial masters brought. Yes,
you see,
the colonial masters handle all with draconian rule, and that is exactly the same role that the SGOs, the DOs are in.
Let me just cut you and say something. What he mentioned there, somebody might want to take it wrong. There's a difference between what he has said and what you hear those Amber boys saying. Why? Because as a true African, you realize that those of us who are going to Enam and coming back, instead of leading, what they are doing is they are applying the colonial masters strategy of colonize. They are actually struggling to colonize us. So what they are doing from the north, the south, the east, the west is the same.
We are coming. We react to that. You have time. We have time. Let's come to Prince Kotem. In this context now, I want us to look at this from a different perspective. The elite. Some people will say that the elite are the ones who have helped to cause this confusion in the light of the chiefs, that the elite are the ones who have helped to be the sellout to the chiefs and taking the chiefs to the government and the people. What stake will the chiefs now have as far as the regional council election is concerned?
Thank you very much, Jarvis. I want to borrow your word, but then me, like you usually say, what matters is your matter, and your matter is what matters. At this point, what matters is the way forward. How do we come out from the situation so that the fund of Saw will not be arrested again, will not be kidnapped, the fund of Barikuma will not be kidnapped, and so on. So, what is the way forward? This is what I propose. It is true that we have Republican professors and Republican administrators who are adamant.
And Republican citizens like yourself.
And Republican citizens who are out there. So you see, it is true we also have a Republican state which is adamant to change, and they think that the only way forward is decentralization, and I will tell you that is not the way forward. It is true that they want to keep following that agenda. That is why on the 6th of December, they are planning the regional elections. But I want to be honest with you. If the government, the government is sincere in order to get a solution to this problem, then we have to take a rethink. We have to rethink again to see that we can bring another form of state, which is federalism. I want to say that and say it very audibly. We have to look at this form of state, change it federalism. What type of federalism are we talking about? We're talking about a federalism wherefore we have to eliminate the Senate, the House of Senate, right? The upper house of the parliament, and let me come, Tamai. We have to eliminate that.
We are in an advanced democracy, as one minister said. And in advanced democracy, you cannot refuse the fact that the Senate is not that important. Why should the Senate be eliminated? And what does that got to do with chieftaincy politics?
Let me learn. That is why I said, let me borrow your word. What matters? What matters at this point is the true way forward. It is true we might sit on panels to debate, follow the Republican rules that have been set. But the Republican rules that have been set forth and have failed the people and are still failing. That is why I am proposing something new, which is the way forward. And what is that? We need a federation. What type of federation are we talking about? That federation, wherefore, we remove the we
have federations now. We have the Cameroun football federations. We have a lot of federations.
I talk about the federal system of governance.
Okay, I just wanted to get that clear.
The federal system of governance, wherefore we will have just one house of the parliament. Does the parliament will constitute just the National Assembly, and the upper house will be removed. When the upper house will be removed, what will it be replaced with? It should be replaced with the House of Chiefs, the Federal House of Chiefs. With the Federal House of Chiefs, there will not be legislative organ, there will be more of a consultative and an advisory body. Listing this and listing good. I believe the viewers out there are taking this as well, because when you look at this issue today, the funds are being humiliated, they are being dragged up and down because of the position which the state has put them in. That's why I talk about 1977 law on the reclassification of funds. That is what the state built.
Is it not the same chiefs who put themselves in that position? Because like Professor Max Akuman says, because these chiefs are greedy. There are chiefs he has mentioned that have decided whether you have classified or reclassified or declassified or unclassified them. They have decided not to be involved in politics. But why are some
my co-panelists on the other side told you?
Is it not passing behind claiming that the government is forcing you?
The co-panelists on the other side told you very well that most of these things is because of development. every chief or phone wants development in his community.
But we are not seeing development in the same community.
I want to tell you, it is because of the chieftaincy that my grandfather had, that we had in my village in Balikumba. We had a subdivision.
Should that be the case?
This is not the case, but that is what they can look. Let's face Let's face the reality, Kamer. We are facing the reality. We are not just debating because we want to debate.
No, I don't
let's face the reality.
Understand the fact.
Of course, the government in place is that of conservative government where they want to do everything to conserve power, and even if it means that tagging the chiefs to politics in order to bring development to their community, they will do that. And that is the case where we are. And how do the funds go out of that situation? Wherefore they will be dragged to that nest. It is to put them in a position where they will not be collaborators or to administration.
So we partners.
No, you have to give them an organ. Wherefore they will have this consultative and advisory role. They will not have a role to.
So it's the same thing with this House of Chiefs that is coming now.
What kind of chief? That is the worst thing you're talking about. Let me tell you, Kamer, the regional election which is coming on the seat, it is just a replica of the decentralization and what has been happening.
Okay,
Kamer, let me just drop this. Okay, that is just a replica of this decentralization. Because look at, I don't want to call names, but look at the former, when we talk about the city mayor of Yaoundé. I want to take that. The city mayor of Yaoundé.
Somebody should speak.
Today, he has been removed because that post has been eradicated. But where is he going to? He is going to the regional elections. He's one of the people, which means these same people are telling us, and the same effects we are going to get. I don't know if you understand me.
Prince, we're coming back to you.
That is aside.
We're coming back to you, Prince. Son Veric. Prince is talking about the aspect that development chiefs have decided to go into politics somehow because they want development to come in their community. And if we look at what of even these chiefs who are center committee members of their different parties. A typical example is the ring road, which has been promised consistently, not tarred. A typical example is the development of the Menchu 4, which has not been developed. A typical example is Wada, which is now in a limbo. A typical example is the Public Works Department, which is in a limbo. A typical example is the marketing board. And we have had chiefs who have been center committee members for long. Does it mean that their politics is only going to their belly and a pretext that we are bringing development?
There is this fallacy we commit all the time that philosophers call the fallacy of non cosa pro cosa, attributing the cause of a thing for what is not. And we may be fallacious somewhere to think that these chiefs are joining politics because they want development to come to their countries or to their constituency. You know, I'm not one of the persons who will clap for the head of state because a road has been tarred in my village. It's a right, my right, that road should be tarred. In fact, I like saying it that a renowned American scholar defined taxes as the price we pay for living in a civilized society. And so if I pay tax directly or indirectly, I should not clap for a road in my village. I should not clap for Isakam coming to carry debt, because I do sacrifices for that. And by virtue of the fact that I'm a citizen of this country, I am bound to enjoy the services, the good services of the country. And so if my chief has to join politics before that enjoyment comes, then he is bought over. Because we will not be citizens of a country and we deserve to be treated like citizens, and then we push our own chief, who is a custodian of tradition, to lose his authority before development comes. That is one thing we will not accept, because most of them, when they go there, they refuse to even be politicians. So
you are saying that they are hiding, they are passing behind the issue that want development to feed their family.
They become politicians. Let me tell you, a renowned
so they are politicians.
People who believe in their bellies. They are not politicians. People who go there because of their bellies, they become politicians. Now, a renowned world politician once said, so you take a chicken and remove the feathers, pluck out the feathers of the chicken so that you render the chicken not to have energy to fly again or to run. Then you carry grains of corn and you throw it at the chicken so that it will feel you are feeding it. That is what the government of Cameroon has done to our chiefs. They have removed their feathers. They have removed their authorities. They have removed all the rights they have, and they are throwing them crumbs to clap for them, to think that they love them. It's a lie. We think that our chiefs should return to the authority of the palace. We think that our chiefs should return to the divine right and moral authority that was given to them from epoch, not authority that is handed to them by political orders and presidential decree or ministerial orders. Because when we sit down to hear a minister say that if a chief does not do this, he will be dethroned, we ask ourselves, where is the divine right of the chief? So, Jarvis, I want to say this, and I say it very clear, that our chiefs, despite the fact that they have been starved to a point where death is the next bus stop, and they are bound to accept the crumbs in order to survive. But if the people, like my brother Ndium rightly said, that if there is that proximity between the chief and the people, because what is happening now is because there's a great divide between the people and the chief. The chiefs believe in partisan politics. And because they believe in partisan politics, they welcome those who believe in their political parties. But it was not supposed to be like that. If they can come back to their senses, which is not very too late, to understand that they were not made chiefs for the CPDMites, or they were not made chiefs for the SDF supporters or MRC. They were made chiefs for their citizens and for the people of their constituency. Then, only then, are we going to go back to the drawing board to redraft and then follow the normal rules and respect the divine right. Because I grew up in a place and we were told that you don't look at the chief, you don't look at the phone to the face. In fact, when you approach the
is it that the gods? I don't understand. Are the gods blind or politics are blind?
Let me come there, Jarvis. Maybe I may be talking from my youthful exuberance or excitement. The gods are not blind. It's because the gods themselves have seen the chief deviating from the love of the people. The gods themselves have seen the chief belonging to partisan politics. The gods themselves have seen the chief allow the traditions of the people, and the gods themselves have seen the people. Look at, please, let me just 30 seconds. Our chiefs believe, or our funds believe, that when somebody leaves the village today and start renting a house in Yaoundé, there's a possibility of picking a phone and calling. Please, can you talk to the president that there is no road in? That's where the elite, and that is where I, for one, I refuse the definition of elite to think that people who stay in Yaoundé are elite. I believe I'm more an elite if I have the love of my people. Better. I believe I'm more an elite when I get back home to see what is wrong with my people. An elite is not somebody who stays in Yaoundé, or an elite is not somebody who goes to Yaoundé and come back. That's one thing that we should take very much into consideration.
You have 30 seconds. Because this is Professor time.
When we talk about chiefs involving politics for developmental issue, look at the chief in Yaoundé who refused, in the central region, who refused the bucket. Why was the bucket given for COVID-19? Imagine COVID-19 was in reality like per se, like in Europe and other countries. It therefore means look, that is another topic. Imagine the COVID, like I said, was in reality like in Europe and other places. You would have understood that this chief his population would have perished because he refused politics. So that is why I advance that argument that most of these chiefs, and they go into this thing.
They refuse a bucket, not because just a bucket, and bags of rice, which are
missing.
The buckets were more, you would have taken them.
That is the reason for the development of these people, right? So that is why I'm asking the question: what is the way forward? Because they have been tied with that bone on the bed. What is the way forward? And that is why I told you. Some people have talked about how do they call it, deconcentration. Some people have talked about
they are talking about federalism.
Anyway, you
so
come back
talking about federalism.
You're talking about federalism, Professor Akumogu. We have federalism in Cameroon. We have the Federal Cameroon Football Federation. We have a lot of federations. We have a lot of associations that are federations. So when we're talking about federations, not negate the fact that we still have federation. But now the crux of the matter, I want you to answer this, Professor. Professor, we are looking at like a case in West Region sometime when a chief was summoned because he granted audience to some MRC militant by the administrative authorities. Can we for sure then conclude that the chiefs are helpless?
No.
Yeah.
We using the word helpless
in terms of taking part in party politics, because a chief is supposed to be apolitical and non-partisan from the party politics perspective, but have a right to franchise. And now a case where a chief receives a member of a political party is a problem, but when he receives another member of your party, is not a problem. Is that not helplessness?
It is not helplessness. We must learn to become decisive.
Very, very important.
The problem is that most at times we bow to fear, which is one of the greatest strategies that is used in order to manipulate Africans. Fear. If as a chief I know where my right stands, I know what I need to do, I am a father of a people, and so whoever enters my palace is received. There is no administrator that will invite me or summon me and I will respect it. You see,
But in Kumba, the Minister of Territorial Administration said if Fonmukete is where he is today, it's because he was obeyed by his divine right. Good. So if the divine right of the administration, the where he is today is divine right. So that divine right, if someone who is not go,
don't compare the two.
No, I'm just saying from the word of the minister.
The president was elected by the people.
Divine right
was not a divine right. The fund won by divine right came through heritage. That's why it is heritage. It's coming from a family lineage. So we don't
so the objection was really right.
So when that lady stood up and said objection, she was right. We voted the president. It was not by divine right. But that chief has a divine right to sit there because it is something that from ancient seat that she's sitting upon or he is sitting upon. So they have the right. You see, I want to say something. He has been talking about federalism. Africa had been a federal continent for a long period of time. Federalism, where kingdoms, every king used to rule their people the way they do, but there is always there's a king that all of them respond to.
The paramount.
Today they call them paramount chiefs or khans, but in those days they used to call them emperors or whatever we call them.
A lot.
So that had been in Africa long ago. The problem is the European idea of federalism which we are pushing, where we have to still keep on thinking of we need to elect persons to do this. If we give, if our chiefs are given back that authority which they had, our nations will be the most peaceful and the most developed. You can use a particular position here by pointing out that most of our chiefs have been, their hands have folded because they have used politics to hold them down. If you want your village to be developed, your people can develop that village.
Very, very good.
It is not the government that will need to come and develop that village. When we want administrative correctness, that's when we bow to political influences that mislead. We are not saying that we should not respect Republican institutions and Republican positions. But the first error the government did in Cameroon was to try to governize, let me use that word, or politicize our traditional authorities. giving them the full authority to rule over their people, and gives a report to the government was supposed to be the strategy. The people will peacefully follow the orders of their kings and their fonds, chiefs, without any problem. Because I used to know that if my fund is coming, I need to bow, and he passes. Today, if he's coming, I'll stand and be looking at him, because he's nobody. Yes. Most of my chiefs in the southwest region,
The bars.
we sit and drink in bars. That divine touch
You inquiry with kind of
is no more there, simply because these institutions have been politicized,
okay.
and because of that, the respect that was due it had been
Thank you,
lost.
Time.
So it is necessary that the Cameroon government, if it wants to maintain peace, they need to restore.
Time is out of
those
time.
institutions.
We are out of time.
Traditional institutions.
Let's take some quick messages. Those watching us from Facebook want to say happy Sunday to you. Happy Sunday to you. Kankem LC say happy Sunday from Tico. Fondong Richard, greetings comrade. Fondong Richard says most of the funds in the northwest lost my respect when I saw them greeting the president's wife with their hands. And what is sacrifice? This it says topic is very interesting. Andy Maleng says the great fun of Bafut refuses being part of the evil government. This one says thank you a lot, Mr. Moderator. Roland Ganyang from Facebook says happy Sunday to you all watching from Papua New Guinea. Eric Wenzi from Facebook said the ruling party with CFA imperialism with France CFA imperialism has succeeded to destroy the tradition through funds and chiefs. Interesting topic. Godi Yonkan says I really think politics should not be a thing of chiefs. Hello to you all. I'm watching from North America. It's Anita Eno. Hello to you. Nice program. You are quite right, Mr. Speaker. He says good afternoon to you all. Very good program. Kmer Tanwi, hello to you in the studio, watching from United Arab Emirates, Dubai, to be more precise. Well said. To all those of you who are watching us on Facebook, want to say a happy Sunday to you all who have been taking out your time to view this program. Because of time, we may not read all the SMS. Thanks for coming, Jimo Emmanuel.
Yes, thank you very much for the good debate. What I want to say as a first-out statement is that
Briefly, we're out of time.
our political elites from Yaoundé, please regain your conscience. We have often seen ministers who have even said that people were used to living in the bushes, and the chiefs were helpless in front of them. So our chiefs, please, your cover is your people. Your cover is your people. Leave these politicians. Maintain your tradition and be closer to your population.
Professor Akumong, thanks for coming, and it's a privilege to have you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jarvis. It's always a privilege being on this particular platform and sharing our ideas. And I want to say it is necessary our chiefs and our funds get to know that they are the fathers of the people they govern. So let them not be divided.
Of course, thanks Songari for coming. It's been a privilege to have you.
Thanks, Jarvis, for having confidence in me, and to our million viewers out there. We call on the chiefs and funds to uphold the chieftaincy and fundum institution with a lot of care, and we call on them to stay neutral in all partisan affairs. We apologize for where we've gone wrong, and then we call them back to the table of reflection, and they should pick up the baton and become the divine authority that the people have always upheld them, so that together we can lead our various constitution to a better height.
Thanks for coming, Kotem Prince Will.
Thank you very much, Jarvis. Thank you.
I really want to call on all Cameroonians and the chiefs in particular and the funds that they should take a peculiar note about their position in the developmental aspects of Cameroon, and this must be looked into. Some have proposed confederation, some have proposed others. I propose federalism with the elimination of the upper house of the parliament to resolve this problem, because decentralization.
I'll keep reminding you that we have Cameroon Football Federation.
I said federalism, I didn't say federal federation. Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming. Thanks very much to all those who took our time to view us. www.btmediagroup.net is the website. Of course, My Media Prime is a Facebook page. On YouTube, you can view our programs on BT Media is our YouTube channel. BT Media on Facebook, on YouTube is our YouTube channel. The numbers are on your screen where you can reach House of Commons. So all those of you who may want to participate in our program, the number is on your screen. You can get us if you want to be a panelist of our program. 676431384 is the number. You can reach me if you want to become a panelist of today's program. I leave you with this. No matter the matter, what matter is your matter. No matter the matter, what matter is your matter. And what should matter for you as press men, women, is that you should keep your integrity. You should not rub your dirty linen in public. My name is Kamer Jarvis. Until we meet again, stay blessed and God bless you all. Happy Sunday.